Hey guys, I am here today to do my 22-week pregnancy update. I feel like a lot has happened this last week that I feel like it is something that I can document and maybe help somebody else that is in their current week of pregnancy. I am 23 weeks pregnant with our second baby boy. We do have an 18-month-old baby boy whose name is Jack. So he will be about 22 months apart from this current baby. So the very first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is how much out of breath I feel. So this is the first week that I felt like I legit can't breathe no matter what I'm doing. I can't clearly talk because I'm talking and I am winded. So I can't talk if I do something too fast. If I try to do Jack's nighttime routine fast, do his lotion and get his diaper on and stuff like that super fast, I am gasping for air and trying to breathe. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't feel like I got as winded with Jack that I am this pregnancy, but I could be completely mistaken. Another thing is I had an interior placenta. So what that means is there was basically my placenta, padding, and then my stomach. So it took a lot longer for me to feel this baby than I did with Jack. And I know that they say with your second pregnancy, you should feel the baby way sooner because you know what you're to look for, what you're you should be feeling. So I had brought it up to my doctor at our last appointment. I believe it was our last one. And I had basically, because in the ultrasounds, the baby's moving around a ton. And so I had voiced my concern about how I could not feel the baby move at all. And so that's when he had figured out that I had an interior placenta. He said I should start feeling baby move. I felt like I felt the baby move prior to 22 weeks, but this 22-week mark, sorry, that's my dog. The baby is moving all of the time, literally all of the time. I can feel every single movement, and I can now actually see the movements through my stomach. So if I don't have my shirt on and I'm in my pajamas or something, you can physically see the stomach going crazy. So I'm definitely happy and excited about that because it was something that I was very concerned about leading up to this week, that I can feel him move. Another thing is we finally came up with a name. It was a name that we had originally picked out for the baby. When we had found out we were pregnant, we had a name for a boy and for a girl. Name was already basically set in stone. We found out that it was another baby boy because we did a blood test at 10 weeks pregnant. We did the blood test that tests for Down syndrome and all of that stuff, and we figured out that it was a baby boy. Once we had figured out that it was a baby boy, I did not feel super connected to the baby. I'm sorry. I did not say that right. I'm sorry. I did not feel super connected to the name of the baby. I felt like this baby was not the name that we had originally chosen. So we had thrown out the name Grayson. And we were 100% positive that that was going to be our baby's name. We were signing cards and books, and I actually had my husband's Father's Day gift made with all of our names on it, or all of the kids' names on it, including Grayson's. So we were pretty certain that that was going to be the name. I felt this instant connection with the name. When I thought about what this baby was going to look like or act like, I was Grayson 100%. I love, love, love the name. But it is so dang popular. We had got set on the name of Grayson, and I swear to you, and they have something that it's called when you get something in your head, you're going to or when you purchase something or whatever, you're going to hear or see that thing consistently. And that's exactly what happened. We got set in stone on Grayson, and literally, I swear, everybody's name was Grayson. I take my son Jack to a jamboree, like playing music class. And in one of the classes beforehand, there were like 3 Graysons in one class. And I had known that it was popular because I know people, like, I just know. Like, I don't have anybody personally that I know that has named their son Grayson, but I knew that it was a, like, very popular name. And we had looked it up on, like, the baby list and stuff like that, and it had, of course, kept growing. But it was at, like, I want to say number, like, 19 or maybe even, like, in the 20s last year. And this year, it's, like, number 11. So I started to get turned off by the name and just wasn't sold on that name because yes, you should go with a name that you absolutely love. Don't get me wrong. But there's a certain point where I guess you have to pick, and the popularity of the name just really turned me off on the name. I did not want him to be like one of 5 Graysons in his class or one of 5 Graysons like in his friend group and then have them call him something completely different than what his name was. That defeats the purpose of us naming him Grayson. So we had started throwing out a whole bunch of different names because I just did not feel connected to the name anymore. And so we started throwing out different names. And I will do a baby name like list that we love but will not be using because there were a lot of great names. Great names. We had like in our top 5, and we still would like throw out random names. Boy names are no joke. They are so hard. We have our girl's name like set in stone. We know what it's going to be. So if only we had a girl, the name would be super easy. But God has other plans, so we're having another baby boy, and the name was so tricky. Our first son, Jack, is named after my dad. His name is Jack Eugene. So Jack is my dad, and then Eugene is my husband's dad, who is no longer with us. So that name, super easy. A lot of meaning and super easy to come up with. We had his name picked out at like, I want to say like 12 weeks, 14 weeks pregnant. This time around was a lot harder because I wanted a name that had a good meaning because Jack means God is gracious. So I wanted something that like didn't just like have a blah meaning. Like I needed something that was substantial and meant something. So we had 5 names on our top ones. We slowly eliminated them. I don't even know how. And it was actually keeping me up at night not knowing what our son's name was because I feel like once the baby has a name, you just feel more connected to the baby. I feel completely connected to the baby. Sorry, my cat. But I feel like when you actually have a name picked out, like it's real. And we're starting to want to get the nursery together and everything like that. So it was starting to come down to like crunch time in my mind. So I was getting really stressed about it. I wasn't sleeping. I was up constantly like thinking about it. So finally I sat my husband down and I had told him like we have to figure out a name. Like we have to like really like weigh our options and think about it because I did not want to go in to delivery still not having a name because one, I want his nursery done with his name above his crib, and then I want his name to be on his little going home hat because with my son Jack, we had like a going home outfit that had his name on the hat, and then I ended up putting that in his shadow box. And I know that I could do that all like after delivery, like I could, put the name on myself, whatever. But I did not want to go in to delivery with like 3 names because then you're like, well, what does the baby look like? Does he look more like this? Does he look more like that? And it's just too stressful. If you go in with one baby name, guaranteed that your baby is going to look exactly like the name that you picked out. That's just how it works. With Jack, he did not look like anything other than a Jack. And I know for a fact that this baby will look just like the name we picked out. And I'm 100% certain that this is his name. I feel it. We threw out a bunch of different names. And this name, the way that we picked it, is we had basically a top two is what we had. We've had a top two for a couple of weeks. And we had actually decided on the other name. And then my husband was saying that name repeatedly. And he just was like, it does not feel right. And then he was wanting to call it like something else that like sounds similar. Like I said, well, I'll do that video so you guys know, and I'll let you know which one of the names it was. But then he was saying a different name, and that wasn't the baby's name. And so I was kind of like, he didn't want it. So I was like, I'm not going to force you to name your son something that you aren't 100% sold on. Like, we need to find a name that we're like 100% sold on. So the name we picked out is the one that he wanted, and I actually was not like 100% on board. And then this last weekend, I had the other name, and I was trying to get my husband to like be all for that name because I really love it. And it was actually thrown out in our name suggestions for Jack too. But we wanted Jack's initials to be Jet, and so it's not a J name. But so we were talking about it, and then we had thrown out another name which stuck because it was a biblical name, had a very strong meaning, and I felt like it paired well, like the meaning of that name and Jack, like it just went. But I cannot, with those two names, I can see a baby of the name, but I can't see a grown man, like if that makes sense. Like when I think about the names, I'm like, yeah, I see a really cute baby, but I don't see a grown, handsome man. With a name that we picked out, which again was the original name that we had set in stone, I just see a cute baby, named it, and then when I think about like a grown, successful, like handsome man, this name just fits perfectly with it. So I'm so excited that we finally have a name picked out. I painted his like letters for his room, and then I am going to be sewing on his name to his going home hat. So super big this week. I'm so happy. Another thing, sorry, I went on like a tangent about this whole name thing. But another thing that I've been feeling this week is nauseous, like all of the time. And with my two pregnancies, with my son and with this one, I did not really feel nauseous at all. This one, I did have like bouts of nausea in the very beginning, and like the first trimester, I think it hit at like 9 weeks, but it only lasted like for a shorter period of time, and I did not have it as bad as I know some people do. I could still eat, I could still move, I could still take care of my son, all of that. So, but this time it's like bad. Like on Saturday, I literally could not get off of the couch because I felt like I was just going to throw up. TMI. But so a lot of nausea. That wasn't the first time. I feel like it's been like consistent this whole week. And we have a doctor's appointment on Thursday, so I am going to be asking my doctor about it and just making sure that everything is normal, which I'm sure it's just like a change in my hormones or something like that. But like I just feel like I'm super sensitive to some foods. Like this baby hates Chick-fil-A. Heart is broken because I love Chick-fil-A. But every time I eat it, I just do not feel well. I don't feel good at all. I'm nauseous, stomach ache, the whole thing. So today I'm feeling a little bit better. So I'm hoping it's taking a turn. But I did just eat like a deli sandwich, which was warmed up for lunch, and my stomach hurts. So I don't know. What else? I think that's really it. I'm not sleeping good at all. You know, the name thing was like super stressful. Let me get up. Was super stressful, and so I thought that that's why I wasn't sleeping. But now even when we have the name picked out, I'm just not sleeping well. I find myself like rolling onto my back, which is a no-no. You're not supposed to lay flat on your back while pregnant. I do have a pregnancy pillow, but it's not the one that like hugs your body both ways when you're sleeping. I think I'm gonna end up getting that one, because then I roll onto my back and either my husband will wake me up to like move, or I'll like figure it out and like be cautious of it, and so I'll move myself. So that's another thing that I feel like is happening quite often, is I'm not able to get comfortable, and I'm up all the time peeing. Shocker. But I'm hoping that if I get a new pregnancy pillow, that's going to help me sleep better, because I'm not stressed out anymore. So I just know that it's because I'm not comfortable and I keep rolling on my back. So fingers crossed that the new pregnancy pillow does good. And I will see you guys in my next video. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I will answer them in my next video. I'm not sure when I'm going to be doing that video, so just stay tuned. Hit the like button if you like this video. Please subscribe. It would mean everything to me. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.